So if we've gotten through the Thessalonica thing, we get to Berea. How many of you have heard of or been in a Bible study called the Berean study? In some churches, there are Berean Bible study groups because listen to how Paul experienced the Bereans as he went into their city after Thessalonica. He had to escape Thessalonica. Here's what went on when he got to the next town. As soon as it was night, the believers sent Paul and Silas away to Berea. So they're sneaking away in the darkness. On arriving there, they went to the Jewish synagogue. Now, the Berean Jews were of more noble character than those in Thessalonica, for they received the message with great eagerness and examined the scriptures every day to see if what Paul said was true. As a result, many of them believed, as did also a number of prominent Greek women and many Greek men. So here we have an alternative to that pattern I just pointed out. And so it's not Paul goes in, Jews rough him up, so he goes to Gentiles. In Berea, the Jews are exemplary by Luke's standards. They check the Bible. Now, I've got a story about this that I'll tell as rapidly and as succinctly as I can. When I worked in Minnesota at a church in Wayzata, Minnesota, some of you are on from that church, Rob Bell, some of you will recognize that name, wrote a book called Love Wins. And in evangelical circles, he had made some enemies by asking, does God really consign all unbelievers to eternal hell? Even people who haven't heard of the gospel, even people, is there really an eternal fire? He raised that question because of some things he saw in scripture, but of course it raised a big ruckus in some parts of evangelicalism, and he was being early days for this, but he was being canceled essentially in evangelicalism. Well, we wanted to figure out what he was up to in this church where I was working, and so we invited Rob Bell to come and speak to us. And when I called the local Christian radio station and said we would like to advertise on here because we'd like as many people as possible to be able to come hear this, I emailed, and I got a strongly worded email saying we will not associate with a person of Rob Bell's of his type. And I wrote back, and this one was a longer email, and said, what we're trying to do is be Bereans. I knew Bible was a high value at the station, and I loved the station. I said, we're trying to be Bereans. Rob Bell has written a controversial thing. We want to have him come and actually talk to us so we can check according to our scriptures and see if he's actually doing truth. And I got a call from the station manager who said, we would love to advertise your thing, but our board is divided over this guy, and there's about to be a war breakout, and we just simply can't. We can't right now be associated with him because things depend on it. Our budget depends on it, right? But they were won over by a reference to the Bereans because the Bereans were noble responders to Paul's message. Do you see how that sort of virtue in Berea might work its way out in a contemporary culture? Check the scriptures. If you want to try to see if somebody's speaking truth or speaking things that are profitable, scripture becomes the index for that at some level, or the checkpoint.